We live in an age where the main focus is pleasing oneself. Slogans abound, encouraging people everywhere to do what makes them feel good, follow their hearts, and live on their own terms.
Welcome to A Word Fitly Spoken, with Christian author and Bible teacher, Dana Rongione.
Most people live this life looking out for number one, and as a result, many are miserable. What if instead we lived our lives to please the Lord? What if we followed His leading and searched out His desires? What if we sought His will in each situation? Nehemiah, one of my favorite Bible characters, could help answer these questions. And it came to pass in the month Nisan, in the 20th year of Artaxerxes the king, that wine was before him, and I took up the wine and gave it unto the king. Now I had not been beforetime sad in his presence. Wherefore the king said unto me, Why is thy countenance sad, seeing thou art not sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Then I was very sore afraid, and said unto the king, Let the king live forever. Why should not my countenance be sad, when the city, the place of my father's sepulchres, lieth waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire? Then the king said unto me, For what dost thou make request? So I prayed to the God of heaven, and I said unto the king, If it please the king, and if thy servant have found favor in thy sight, that thou wouldest send me unto Judah, unto the city of my father's sepulchres, that I may build it. And the king said unto me, the queen also sitting by him, For how long shall thy journey be, and when wilt thou return? So it pleased the king to send me, and I set him a time. Nehemiah 2, verses 1 through 6. After hearing about the decay of Jerusalem, Nehemiah is heartbroken. The thought of his former home lying in waste and desolation was so distressing that Nehemiah couldn't hide his despair. When his employer, the king, notices Nehemiah's unusual behavior, he asks the prophet what he can do for him. It had been 4 months since Nehemiah had first heard the news, and I'm sure he had done much fasting and praying since that time. Even so, when the king queried Nehemiah, he didn't speak until after sending up another prayer to God. Then his response to the king began with this simple phrase, If it please the king. Nehemiah had a plan and God's approval, but Nehemiah wanted to be as respectful as possible to all involved. So instead of simply stating his goal and request, he prefaced them with a spoken indication that he only wanted to do what would please the king. As a result of Nehemiah's faithfulness to God and his employer, his mission was a huge success. Yes, there were trials, setbacks, and enemies, but despite all of that, Nehemiah accomplished a seemingly impossible task in an extraordinary timeline. He sought to please both his heavenly and earthly king, and in doing so, he set an excellent example for people in the present and future. Living a life for self may feel good temporarily, but it will never lead to true happiness and satisfaction. Living a life to please the king, on the other hand, is a sure way to success and everlasting joy. Who are you living for today?
You've been listening to A Word Fitly Spoken with Christian author and speaker, Dana Rongione. Dana is the author of over 20 books, inspiring and encouraging the old and young alike to find joy in serving Jesus. To find out more about Dana's ministry and to sign up for her devotional blog, visit danarongione.com.